So today we are going to learn how I made this canvas here, and if the lighting is not really good, I'm sorry, because we just moved to a new house and I'm still figuring everything out here. So this is a mixed media canvas, and I hope some people are there. I can start talking like about this project. So this is like a very simple project. There is no tons of stuff that I've used here, basically no stencils. Here is what we are going to use in this project. This is the modeling paste by Prima. Okay, so I have this jar. It's the Art Basics modeling paste by Finnabair. And this is one of the things that will go into this texture here. Along with this, I'm going to use the texture powder. This is one really good thing to have in your stash. And one of the main elements of this page, which is of this canvas, is this Redesign by Prima mold. And it's really, 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 really gorgeous, guys. If you do not have this, buy it, because it makes such gorgeous clusters, be it in your scrapbook layouts, in your canvases. You can see a lot of our design team members have used this mold, and you can just go on our Instagram and check out those projects. There is a lot of inspiration that we post daily on our Instagram page. So if you're not following there, please go ahead and give us a follow. So this is one of the molds that I'm using. Besides this, one of the main things that I'm using is this vintage gold wax by Prima. Okay, so this is one of the waxes, and apart from this, it's just some black paint, some brown paint, some beads, etc. Okay, yeah, this mold is a must-have, so just go get it. This mold, there are a lot of floral molds that we have, and just check them out on the Redesign with Prima website if you want, and you can go and ask. I get this question many a times: where can I buy these molds in this country, in that country? Okay, so if you want any of the Prima supplies and you think that you do not get it in your country, just go to your craft store, just drop them a message that, hey, I was looking for this product from Prima Marketing, can you please get it for me? Right, just that, and I think they will be more than happy to get that product for you. Yep. So this basically project has been made on an MDF board, and I like to recycle. I don't buy a lot of canvases, I make them myself. So I get these kind of MDF boards and furnitures and everything. You can always save them, and they've worked like perfectly for your canvases especially. So this is what I have right now, but I did not have a second. I already used up all of these sizes, so I made myself a canvas using some chipboard here. So if you do not have a canvas in the size that you want, just go ahead and use some chipboard, the thick chipboards, or any of the packaging material basically, and you can make yourself a canvas. So I basically have given this thing a coat of white paint, and now I am first thing that I like. Thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you. So the first thing that I like to do is cover everything with white gesso, as I have done on this piece here. Okay. So can I get a hello? Let me know from where you're joining. In the meanwhile, I'm just doing this. So, who all are there with me? Hello, Cynthia. Is this session taped? Yes, Cynthia, we always have our sessions or all of the Facebook lives saved for you. Yes, Ayoti. Many craft stores have it. Hi, Kavita. Okay. So I am taking a live after many days. I think it's been basically 1 or 2 months, I don't remember properly, but I have not been keeping well since a long time now. And basically it's just that every time I start crafting, and if I spend a lot of time, you know, then I worsen my situation, I worsen my conditions. So I am doing my work in, you know, I'm kind of breaking up everything, doing something one day, the next step the other day. So it's taking a little bit of time to for me to come up with projects. But I'm so thankful to each one of you who is there, who's there for me, who appreciates my work. I'm so thankful to each one of you. You really don't, I don't think, I mean, we all are artists here, so we all know that every comment means a lot, you know. And I personally try to thank everyone, whoever has dropped a comment for me. Oops, I think I was getting a phone call. I'm sorry. So now I have covered this thing in white gesso. I'm just going to heat dry it. So for my mold here, I am going to show you what I've used. I have used this product. It's the amazing casting resin, and it basically cures in like 10 minutes. So I like it. I also have some plaster. You know, I've tried many things, but I come back to this resin again and again. The main reason is because, you know, if it cures perfectly, you know your piece is like sturdy. With everything else, it kind of tends to break when you're taking out the pieces from the mold. So I like to use resin a lot. There we go. Now we have a blank canvas with us, okay? And just a second, the live class. Okay, sure. Now the next thing is I'm going to show you this. This piece has been made by with the help of resin, okay? And here I have in my main canvas, basically, I have just covered my piece with gesso first and then used wax, okay? So this is how it will look when you use white gesso and wax combination, okay? And this is how your piece is going to look when you use black gesso and wax combination. So you can see the difference, right? This really pops, but this is really subtle, okay? Oh, Vandana, hi, you made it. So great to see you here. Okay, so this is like the white gesso and wax combination, and this is black gesso and wax combination. So it is up to you. I made these 3 pieces just to show you how your this, what do we say, how your pieces are going to look with different gessos, okay? So it is up to you what kind of look that you want with your on your project and everything. Here I am going to just show you what I have done here. So I've given this mold basically. Okay, first let us do the texture, because that is going to take a little bit of time to kind of, you know, dry. So I'll just first do that. And let us just say this is how I want my thing. So here are the 2 things that I'm going to use. This is the texture powder and this is the modeling paste. Okay, so now modeling paste is not really thick, not really thin, and if you can see the consistency, You know, this is like a very good working consistency. But what I have done here today is that I wanted my modeling paste to be a little bit thicker. Now the reason that I wanted my modeling paste to be a little bit thicker, just because when it's thick, it has less water, so it'll dry quicker. Okay, and it is, you know, of course we are doing a live, so I want my paste to dry quickly. That is why I'm going to mix in a little bit of texture powder. You can also use texture powder when you feel that your paste is, supposedly you have a paint or something and you want to build a 3D texture with it. Okay, and of course we all know paints, with paints we cannot do that, so you can mix in some texture powder with it. It is not going to give a very evident color to your paints, but it is going to make them thick. You see, like it has done to this modeling paste here. Now the more powder I add, the more thicker this modeling paste will start becoming, but I think I'm happy with it. Okay, so what I am going to do is just an approximation, like how much I need to cover. So it is something like this. Okay, you can always adjust what you want, but something like this. Now I'm using a very straight palette knife here. Okay, and with a palette knife you want to have a two finger support and one on the hilt of the knife. I think this is what it's called. So what I'm doing is I'm just simply kind of placing the product on the back of my knife and doing these strokes. Okay, and I want a thick layer. I do not want to scrape off everything, you know, I just want a thick layer, something like this. Okay, now this is what is going to form our texture, and how I have given the grooves and everything, I'm just going to show it to you in a minute. But before that, let's first sorry, can you see that it's really it's not too thick that it won't dry in time, but it's not even too thin. Okay, so I think I need a little bit more product. It is always better to mix in a little bit more but okay, maybe over here. Be very gentle when you're making movements with your palette knife. You can easily, you know, scrape off a lot of product there. So there we go, we've done that. That is complete. Clean up the mess, because otherwise it's going to take a really long time. I'm sorry for the wobble. Okay, there we go. Make sure you close the lid of your pastes very well after you've finished using them, because even if you, the thing is, it will dry when it reaches, you know, if you finish half of the thing, because ultimately when you're kind of using up the product, that gap is filled by air. So even if you're closing your lid very tightly, the thing is that there will always be some amount of air inside your jar, and that is going to dry up your pastes. So the best thing to do is finish it up before it dries. So there we go, we have our thing ready, and now I'm just going to kind of heat dry it. Just a second. What I want is, you all know when pastes dry, the process that they dry in, when you heat dry it, they form a film kind of thing on the surface, and the insides are still kind of, you know, wet and gooey. So that is what I want. I want it to form a film. Okay. So while I'm drying it, I just want to show it to you. Anyone who is joined just now, we are making this mixed media canvas. It's very simple, a lot of gold, because the Prima color of the month was gold. So I basically decided that let's use gold and not on just white or black, let's make it black and white. So here we have with our molded piece. Our molded piece, this molded piece, this one is covered with black gesso, the vintage gold wax, and then I've given some, I'll show it to you on this piece. Just give me a second. And this one is white gesso and the vintage gold wax. Okay, this is very subtle and this is like really dramatic. So it depends on what kind of project you want to make, what what mood you want to go with. So that is why I just wanted to show it to you, that you can use both these kind of looks, or if you want, you can go with the really dramatic look or very subtle look. So it just depends upon the background color that you have there, the background gesso. Okay, so this looks like dry. It's a little bit wet here. I'm just going to dry it completely. Sorry, not completely, but so there we go. Now we come to how I gave that texture. And the trick to it is that when modeling paste is like relatively dry, okay, so what happens is that it forms a film kind of, layer on it. Now, you all must have seen a lot of products on the market that have like texture plates and everything. I don't have texture plates. So what I decided to do was just brush some corn flour on your, this is the normal corn flour that we use, on my stamp. And you can basically use any stamp that you have. So if you have any gorgeous stamps that you really want to want the textures of those on your project, you can use this technique with them. Okay, so I just want that my stamp should not stick to this thing. So I'm just rubbing in a little bit of this corn flour thing. Okay, now what you have to do is stamp on this layer. Do not do not give a lot of pressure, because what will happen is the modeling paste is still wet on the inside. So what happens is that it will start to ooze out. It will break the film and start to ooze out. Okay, so don't do that. Just be very gentle. You can repeat it. You can literally go onto it a number of times if you're not happy, but still do not use a lot of pressure. So what I'm going to do is just simply do this. You see there? Just simply do this. Don't use a lot of pressure. You can go on it a number of times if you're not happy with the result, but don't use pressure. And the corn flour thing here is helping us such that our stamp does not get stuck onto the, the film thing that is formed on the modeling paste. So just keep doing this till the time you're happy. And if you don't have this stamp, whatever stamp you have, whatever texture stamps you have, like script stamps, maybe you can use those script stamps, right? So the possibility is basically endless. It's just like you trying to have those texture plates, putting in all that clay and using that clay on your project. You can simply do this, right? The texture here is really subtle. I agree to that, but I like it. I mean, if it saves me a couple of bucks, I'm for it. So there we go. I'm just going to show it to you up close. Give me a minute. You want to have a very stable background, table when you're working with it, so that you can, your pressure is not, it's not like varying everywhere. You can have constant pressure everywhere. So here we go. Can you see this? Can you see this? Please someone say yes. I need to, oh, thank you. So this is how you can create this kind of texture. Now, if you would have had, maybe I wanted to use a script stamp, and you really want, I have this script stamp, it's always lying around me. So you can always go in and, you know, kind of create some more textures. I'll just show it to you here. Can you see that? Can you? Right? So you can always use this technique. It's basically any stamp that you have, floral stamps, anything, it'll work for you. Just remember, modeling paste, texture powder. I decided to use modeling paste because modeling paste actually has a very, you know, what do I say? I mean, you just have to try it. I'm not getting the word. But the thing is, I tried it with modeling paste and texture powder. Then you have to have a stamp and this cornflower thing. And you're good to go with it. So now that I have this background ready, the second thing that I want to do is just let's move it to the side and let it dry and shift our focus to this mold thing. Now, as I told you, I've done it with black and white. On this canvas, I used the white thing. I've given this mold a coat of white gesso. Now I'm going to just use some of this wax. Okay. And this brush is from Prima. Basically, any short stippling kind of brush that you have will do the trick. You don't need any special brushes. This brush is actually very good for artisan powders, but I did not have a short stippling brush, so I had to use this. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is just simply, you know, I want to get into the grooves. Okay, so the short stippling brush really does the trick, and if it does not do the trick for you, you cannot get into the grooves even when you're trying to, you know, use a good stippling brush. What you can always do is just, you know, use your heat gun and melt the wax. It'll start to get into the grooves automatically. Now the color that I'm using here is the vintage gold color by Prima. So this gold is not really the in-your-face kind of gold. Okay, it's more of like a vintage, you know, old coin kind of look. So this, just keep in mind, whatever, if you want the very, you know, the gorgeous, you know, the very bright yellow gold, we have options of all of those, but I have this color with me, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm trying to use a stippling kind of motion because this mold has a lot of details in it, and I just want this color to go into everything, you know, all the details. So I have to use this motion. This part is a little bit, you know, kind of monotonous, preparing everything, preparing all your embellishments that you have to use. So that is why I did one in advance. But I thought it's good to show it to you rather than just telling it to you how I did it. If you have any questions in the meanwhile, just let me know. This mold is gorgeous, Vandana. It really is. If you have any questions, please just let me know. And in the meanwhile, if you can please share this live on your page, I would be very happy. Of course, I'd be happy. Okay. Do you have any questions so far? Anyone? Our DT coordinator, new DT coordinator Natalie, is moderating my live today. So she will answer any questions that you have, any product questions, anything that you want to know. Please just drop in a comment, and we'll be more than happy to help you out. So with waxes, you can have a number of effects. Okay, so I'll just show it to you. It's taking a little bit more time than I anticipated, actually. Okay. I hope I'm not rushing in the process. Can we use the dabbing brush for this? What's a dabbing brush? You can, see, you need to have any of the any brush, short stippling brush. Okay, a dabbing brush. I think dabbing brush is the same thing, right? It's the same thing, I think. Anything that has a sponge on it, sponge tip, is not going to work. The sponge is going to, you know, suck up all of your product, and you will be left with very less product to, you know, stretch it out. You want your product to, you know, you want to stretch your product. A spongy applicator is going to suck up all the product for you, and you're not going to be left with ample amount to, you know, kind of stretch your product. So avoid anything that can suck up your product. Okay, so our this is almost done. Now I'm just going to add a little bit more product in the center. And on these areas. And you see, I'm just using the stippling motion because I want to build up this product. I do not want to, you know, if you use this motion, the thing is, it's wax and the surface is non-porous. So what happens is that you literally tend to take away all the product. The more you sweep, the more you do this, the more product, you know, you kind of take away all the product. So that's why I'm doing this motion, the stippling motion, because I want to build up the product. I do not want to take away all the product. If I do this, I'll show it to you. Just give me a second. See, if I do this, can you see all of that product just goes away? Okay, so now that is done. See here, I think it's most evident on this part, but it does not matter. Now that I'm happy with how it's looking, just use a heat tool to kind of melt away anything that is, you know, kind of chunky bits here and there. If there are any chunky bits here and there, you can just, you know, pass this heat tool once, and everything is going to just settle into the grooves where it should have been. I think there is some chunky bit in here. Just use this heat tool. Okay, there we go. Now that we are done with this, this is the same thing. If you want a black look, just apply black gesso and wax on top of it. I want a white look, so I have gone with white gesso and this vintage gold wax by Prima. Okay, there we go. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to use a sponge kind of thing. Okay, and what I have to do, just give me a second. You need to have some craft paint. I do not have a palette. Okay, so I have some white acrylic paint here. I'm going to dab it. Be very gentle with this step. Okay, what I have to do is just lightly. And you see, I'm not going like this, I'm going at an angle. Am I visible, you guys? So I'm going at an angle like this. Okay, I'm going at an angle like this. I'm not going like this, otherwise I'll just cover all of those raised areas. I don't want that. So everywhere, wherever I want that white to show, I'm doing this. Okay. You don't want to go like perpendicular to the mold. You want to go at an angle. And it's not like you cannot, reverse it if you've suddenly, kind of just dabbed something on it like this. It's not like it's not reversible. You can always correct your mistakes in mixed media. And, that is the beauty of mixed media. There is literally nothing that you can do wrong. You can always go back, redo everything. So don't worry about that. Okay, so this is how it's looking right now. Okay, and I'm just going to repeat it once again on this one, because the thing is, all the water-based mediums that you have, if you're applying it on top of each other, what happens is they react with each other. And water-based mediums, they tend to give their color to each other. The thing is, with this wax, it's not like it's reacting or anything, but still it kind of dulls over, the period. So just try to, I'm trying to go over this thing once again. Okay, we have these two here. And this is the black gesso one. I'll just remove these to the sides. Okay, no, one more thing. What I did was, this is a very, very, very used bottle of the burnt sienna color by Finnabair, the liquid acrylic color. I am not left with a lot of this color, so I hope I can stretch it out. Just give me, okay. Now, oops. Okay, so here is a paintbrush. I'm taking out some of that color. And I'm just dropping some color in the center and kind of spraying it. You will see that the wax is resisting, but that's okay. I just want some of that color in the center. Just to, give the center a little bit more depth. And if you have a hard time working with the water-based medium, any water-based medium, I'll just show you what you can do. Just let me dry it first. Okay, so what other thing that you can do is use some alcohol ink and drop it like this. I use water with this. Even though it is alcohol ink, but I am using water with this, doesn't matter. I just want it to spread into the grooves, okay, so that the grooves have a little bit of depth. You can do this as much or as little you want. There's no hard and fast rule that you have to do it on each of these things. That's it. Okay, so you see automatically your flower, it starts to look really dimensional. So I'll just keep these two aside so that we can start working on our background again. I'm trying to, kind of work a little fast because I don't want, I did this project over a couple of days, so I'm not sure how long or how short this live is going to be. I don't want it to be really long because I know people get bored and everything and they feel like, oh, this is never ending. So I don't want that, and I'm not sure how long this is going to take actually, so I'm just trying to hurry. I messed up the white part a little with some brown paint. That is why I am kind of trying to hide it. Okay. So now what I have to do is start assembling this mold. Thank you, Natalie. Excuse me. Thank you so much. So now what I have to do is start assembling this on my piece here, and I am going to see how I did it on this canvas. So what have I done? Okay, actually I never use the mold as it is. I always like to cut it, so that is what I've done here. And you can always go ahead and use it as it is, but I feel like when you're building a cluster, you know, it's better if you try to adjust some pieces here and there. So I'm just cutting it over here. Let's see. When you're building a cluster on your project, just take your time with it, don't rush. Okay, and because this is what after all everyone is going to see in your project. So if you kind of rush with it, this is the main focal point of your project, so don't rush. Just give it some time, think over it, and you'll see that on this project I've not used a lot of kind of products or anything. So maybe it is a little bit simple for some people. Okay, so there we go. You can use literally any scissors that are sturdy enough to cut into some resin. Or what I did in this canvas and I did not do here was that I poured these what do you say, these areas in sections. I did not let them join, I kind of stopped at this part. I kind of then stopped at this part. That is what you can do if you do not want to cut into it, but it's okay. And take your time in assembling things, because you do not want to see all of these raised areas kind of things. Okay, I'm a little bit confused here. I think let's assemble this here. Okay, this is taking a lot of time. I'm sorry for this. I'm trying to, you know, make it look like it's all in together, because these pieces are actually two separate, you know, similar images. So if you place everything like just, you have to take your time with this, because you don't want it to look bad or anything. Like it's not like both these kind of flowers should be with each other. Of course I am going to do this with this one here. It's a little bit different, it's coming out a little bit different, but that's fine. It does not have to be exactly the same. Maybe something like this. Okay, so it's not exactly the same thing, guys. It's almost similar. Now I am using some hot glue, and I'm using hot glue because I am doing a live and I just want it to be quick. Otherwise I will advise you to use the 3D gel or anything, you know, that is going to hold your pieces like really well. So hot glue actually works short term, but it's not a very good solution. I need something. Okay. Oh my god, it's so hot. Okay, now just go in and kind of wipe some excess. And if you did not know, I'm not sure how many of you know this, but if you heat your resin pieces, what happens is that they become a little bit, you know, pliable, I should say. And you can actually, you know, kind of turn them to tuck in something. If you want to tuck in something inside, you can actually give them a little lift or something like that. So, okay, what am I doing? Okay, now these jointed areas that you're seeing here, I'm going to hide them, so don't worry about that. Just let's wait for this to dry, this glue to dry a little. Okay, there we go. Now we have to color this area over here, and to color it, I have used the black impasto paint by Prima, this one, and our burnt cyan. I'm so sorry, just give me a minute. Okay, so I've messed up this texture a little bit. It's just, see, you see this modeling paste is still not dry. Can you see that? So if I would not have used the texture powder, you can just imagine how long it would have taken for us to dry it and work with it. And now I'm going to use some art stones as well. So let's first start with the art stones. I'm completely empty on them. I think I'll have to buy again. And the next thing that I am going to do is just mix these art stones. You can use soft gloss gel. Let's use soft gloss gel only. This is a very dirty kind of, what do I say, dirty desk, but I'm sorry. So what I'm going to do is, whenever I use art stones, I make it a point to use it in, like the nooks and crannies and places like that. So I'm just going to hide these imperfections with the art stones. Okay, so use it in areas where you think your glue has kind of your glue is showing, or basically the nooks and crannies or areas where you can see your imperfections. Okay. I'm not really happy with the arrangement of the floral cluster that I have done, but you all get the idea, right? You have to give it some time to think over it. Don't rush with it. That's what I wanted to convey. And any questions so far, anyone? Just placing some art stones here and there. Now this is not a mandatory step, but it just gives you a little bit more detail in your work, because this canvas is like relatively very simple. So these are the small things that will give detail to your work. Okay, so that's why I'm using these tiny art stones and everything to kind of add a little bit more detail. That's the only reason. It's not important to use anything like art stones or anything, but yes, you can see I've not used a lot of art stones in this, except for I think these regions here. These are the only areas that I've used it. Now one more thing, when the paints, the impasto paints, when they dry, what happens is they dry matte. And I'm not sure, Natalie, if you can tell me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure of this, but as far as I remember, they dry black. I'm not really, please don't quote me on this. So what happens is that when your pastes dry matte, the paints are drying matte. I did not want the matte look for this canvas, okay? I'll have two different brushes. Okay. So, where was I? Yeah. So I wanted this part to look like really, glossy and beautiful. So I'll just tell you. The liquid acrylics are so gorgeous. Oh my god. And this color is like my favorite. It's probably my second or third bottle. And I'm completely, it's finished. Now I've applied some paint on the top edge. Can you see there? Okay. Now what you have to do is hold your canvas like this and spray. Let it drip. Let it drip. Spray more if required. Let it drip. Okay, like this. Turn again. Turn it upside down. Keep on doing this and heat drying it. That is very important. I want to build up the intensity. Okay. Now, once again, take your paint. Be very gentle. Just remember, we've given some textures and we don't want to lose them. So just take your time with it. Just trying to go inside these areas. Now, this area, a few places that the paint is not able to penetrate, I'm just going to add a little bit there. Okay, and spray water. Let it flow. Okay. Now, let's heat dry this once again. There you go. Now we come to the black paint. Add your black paint on the edge, nowhere else, on the edge. Okay. Now once you're done with that, let water do the work. You see how I'm moving the canvas? You just have to let it flow. It is going to be messy, guys. Please, I hope you don't mind it. It's going to be messy because we are going to use a lot of water. Now it completely depends on what kind of intensity you want for your canvas. On this canvas, I really went in for dark, deep black. It completely depends on you. If you want to stop at this stage, you can stop at this stage. If you want to have like more black, then go ahead. So when there is a lot of water, of course you have to use a lot of this heat tool. So just make sure you invest in one very good one. I think Rangers is the only one I've always preferred, but the only problem with it is that none of my Rangers heat gun has worked for more than a year. But I still love it. Okay. Once again, I want more intensity on this corner here. Okay, this black is going to give you a very, not just a very dramatic look, it's also going to give more definition to your corners. Any areas that you're not happy with a lot of paint, just go in and pick up the color like I'm doing here. I don't want a lot of color on this part. And over here, maybe I just see how it's dripping. You just have to keep repeating this process over and over every time. Every time you, this is acrylic paint, guys, so it will dry completely. So there is nothing like it'll get washed off every time you apply a second layer. You can build up the intensity with this. You could also use gesso for this, the black gesso by Prima, if you don't have a paint. Thank you, Ayoti. Yeah, Michelle. If you don't have paint, you can always go ahead and use your black gesso. This is the only part that actually takes a lot of time, you know, building up the texture and giving it colors or anything. That is the only part that takes a lot of time. Okay, now I'll go again with the burnt sienna. And you can completely use any colors that you like, you know, any combinations of colors that you like to recreate this canvas. If you're not a big fan of gold, you could use rose gold. Anything basically. Just be very gentle with your textures. Even though they are like relatively dry now, they're not going to nothing bad is going to happen to them now, but still at this stage we do not want to take any chances. So just be very gentle when you're coloring this, because this is a you know, water based medium. I think this is water based, I'm not sure. So it does get activated if you use a lot of water. Oh, I love this combination, Ayuthi. It's very beautiful indeed. Now I will dry this part thoroughly, and then we are going to add all of that glitter and everything that you see here in this canvas. Okay, so let's just dry this thoroughly. Okay, now we are done with this part. I am just going to give the edge a black color so that it does not look ugly on the sides. On a canvas, your sides are also visible, and the other thing is that canvas is always looked from, you know, far. So don't worry about, oh, it's not looking really pretty up close, because you're not supposed to look at a canvas up close. You're going to hang it on a wall or something like that, and it's supposed to be looked from afar, not up close. So don't worry a lot about the mess. So I added a little bit of this color. I mixed it with brown and white, and I basically lightened this burnt sienna color, and I added it in this this area because you know, I just wanted it to, you know, kind of have a shadow, so that looks okay there. Okay, now that we are done with this, we come to the next part, and that is adding all of the gold stuff that you have with you, all of the golden color stuff. So this is some gold flakes, and I've shifted into a container here. these are some gold sequences, some micro beads, then this is some glitter. So everything, all of this is going to go in this project. So if you don't like gold and you have like you know, matching sequins or something with other color combinations, you can use silver, you could use rose gold or anything like that. This canvas was supposed to be like a really glamorous one, so I decided to use this. Okay, now I'm picking up some of each of these things. Okay, let me just clear this table. Okay, so just going to open all of these containers here. I'll just show it to you up close what these are. These are some micro beads, some sequins, some gold glitter, and some of those gold flakes. Now I'm just going to use some soft gloss gel by Prima, picking it up on my the edge of this brush and start brushing it. Now because we are going to use a lot of this gold kind of this gold details, these gold ingredients here, so don't load it up with any one single kind of, you know, thing. Like don't go heavy with the glitter, so that because if you go heavy with one thing, the other thing is not going to show that much. And this gel dries glossy, just remember that. And I think with gold especially, or anything glamorous that you're going to make, you want, I'm not sure, but I think maybe glossy looks better. Okay, and some of these micro beads in there. Okay, you see that I am focusing more on the centers of my flowers, or on these areas where the bud joins the, I don't know, the sepal, whatever, because I feel that is what looks nice. That's my personal preference. It's nothing like a hard and fast rule. Okay, now I am going to add a little bit of this gold here. Okay, this is a lot. If you add a lot of glitter on your supposedly on your this cluster, and you leave everything else untied, okay, it the project does not feel, you know, does not feel like it's tied up together. It always looks, there's always something like off in the project. Now I'm going to add some gold leaves, and I'm simply picking it up with my brush and adding it in this area. Okay, and with gold leaf you just have to be a little bit careful because it can get all over the place. So it's always better not to use your hands when you're using gold leaf. See, it tends to cling to anything that has a tacky feeling to it. But the shine on the gold leaf, it does not oxidize. I think most of the gold leaves, if they are like 100% pure gold leaves, they won't oxidize so much. But even I have had good success with even these ones, the fake ones, the imitation gold ones. Oops. Come on. just adding it here and there along the thing. Now I'm taking some more of this gel and I'm taking this micro bead. I'm kind of building up this area, building up on this area. I want like a ridge of gold beads over here. These micro beads, sorry. Not precisely, but something like that. Now the final touch is using some gesso, I'm so sorry, using some of this gloss gel. I am going to seal this paint. You can clean your brush. I'm just using the same brush right now, and I do see that the gold leaf is going here and there, but it's okay. I'm sorry, I'm not able to multitask. Thank you, Monica. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ayoti. Thank you, Natalie. Okay, there we go. Now these areas, you can always add a darker shade of your paint, just so that your flowers pop up. Okay, I'll try to do it, but let me just finish my canvas first so that I'm done with the main things, and then we can, jump on to the little details. Okay, now what I have to do is just simply heat dry this area so that the gloss gel dries completely. I'm adding a little bit of this black paint to darken the edge. A little bit more. Now that is dry, what I have to do is take this vintage gold paint once again. Dab the excess off from your finger and lightly go over this. You can use a brush as well. Okay. Oops. And to achieve the look that you have or you want, you may have to go in a couple of times with the black paint, going with the this wax. So don't worry if you have to do that. That is the process. So just enjoy it, Just remove these things. Now, let me see. Okay, now that I have You see, I was a little bit more using a little bit of more force on this side, so the modeling paste has kind of messed up. Let me see if I can redo this thing once again. Yeah, there we go. Fine. Okay, now I am going to add some of these beads from Prima, and these are the same gold color beads. I'm trying to make something similar to my project, but you know, it's not possible. If I would have kept trying to mimic the same thing that I was doing in the floral cluster, it would have taken me a lot of time. So let me see, maybe one here. Okay, now what I want to do is yeah, I just want to add a little bit of shadow on these areas. So taking the small brush, dipping it in my just lightly add it like so. Use your this thing. See, I'll just, it's a little bit too dark for my liking over here. I wanted the dark only on the top, not in these areas. So I am just mixing it with some white. Okay. You can always spray your area there you want to paint first, so that your product flows. Okay, so you see how this whole thing has continued. It's not like just cutting itself in half. So we've just tried to kind of make sure that the color extends even on this half. Okay, now the final touch that I always like to do is go again with my white, go in the project again with my white paint. So that is what I do to all my projects in the end. Because when you're working with so many paints, what happens is that you always tend to transfer some color, some, you know, you hold your project with dirty hands or something, and everything gets transferred on the white. And I want my white to be like clean, not messy. So I always like to go in with a little bit of white in the end. That is what I'm going to do here too. There we go. I'm sorry, this file is really long. And once again, doing this process. Just being careful over here because now we've added everything, so just be careful you do not transfer the white on the background there. Okay, and that is it, guys, I think. Not sure. Yeah, mostly. I think over here I have on this area this year. Once it is like relatively more dry, you can go in with more black paint and more of that sepia, and you can actually, when it is dry, you can use your fingers to kind of this wax, rub that wax very properly over there. But the problem is that it's not very dry, so I'm not able to do that properly right now. But I'm just making letting you know that when it is completely dry, what you can do is rub that wax again, add that paint, spray, and you can repeat it till the time you are satisfied with it. Okay, and once you're satisfied, everything is perfect for you, add that gloss gel, because that is going to give you that good shine on your project. Okay, because some paints dry matte, and because liquid acrylics dries glossy, but I'm not sure. Okay, that dries matte. Yes, the impasto paint dries matte, so you do not want a matte thing, because you're making something so so glittery and so shiny that matte will actually throw off your project. So just make sure you add that gloss gel over there, and I think you will be good to go. So here are the two projects, the same project. And I hope you liked it. Thank you so much for joining in today. And if I have missed any of your questions, just tag me. I'm so sorry. I try hard to multitask, but I'm sorry if I'm not able to. Thank you so much for joining in, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you.